So now you're home
Okay.
and discreet. Okay.
All right. Hi, everyone. Um, okay. I think we're about ready to get started. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Eleni. I was born in the Dominican Republic. I was raised in Washington Heights by a single mom. I'm a first generation immigrant and a first generation college grad. Um, okay, I graduated college in 2016. I have a degree in child and adolescent psychopathology. I studied abroad in Italy, fell in love with travel, and met my husband that same year that I graduated. Since then, I've built a career as a rotational nanny. I've become a homeowner. I've traveled to over 20 countries, including my very favorite Italy 8 times. And I don't take any of that lightly. As an immigrant, as a woman, as someone raised by a single parent, I'm extremely proud of the life that I've built. And today I work with contracts with total compensation packages of over $250,000. I've learned how to balance demanding roles with my home life so I can protect my peace and stay financially strong. And I share that background because it shapes the way I move through my career. I try to move with a lot of gratitude, with a lot of honesty, and that honesty matters so much in rotational work because this career can look incredibly glamorous from the outside, and 100% sometimes it is, but it's also very intense, demanding, and not always what people might think. So today I want to walk through the realities, the rewards, and the red flags of rotational life. So the way I usually do this is that I go through the slides and then maybe we can have a quick chat about each one, and then there'll be a lot more time to ask questions at the end as well. So some of the rewards that stick out to me a lot about this career, like what keeps me really motivated with rotational work, is the higher salaries, working on really big, incredible teams, comprehensive benefits, airline status, rewards programs, airline miles, and the ability to have scheduled time off every month or so to be able to do whatever works. And I'm curious if anyone has any questions about the rewards of Rota life. And is there any way for me to chime into Zoom as well for
That was
questions?
the reason I had my phone, then it just echoed. So I'll go over there and check.
Okay, amazing.
Because with that, I think so. Oh, okay, put it like down on top. I'm thinking the same thing. I guess I have a question.
Sure.
Has working on a team ever been a downside as well?
100%. Like when you have big teams, there's a lot of personalities. And um, I think that once you get to know each other, you know the way that you work, you can kind of ebb and flow with each other. Sometimes there are people that are there like more transiently, and that can either be easier or more difficult. Like maybe
Yeah.
it's somebody who's trialing and that might go one way or another, or someone who's just filling in, or when the team is like so big that there's inevitably like maybe a personality or two that don't really fit as well. But I think at the end of the day, as long as everyone's like super professional and just willing to do their
Yeah.
position, then yeah, we
I
can all
guess,
make it work.
I guess I've also always wondered, and this is like building off of that
Sure.
question really. Maybe this would be better placed later.
Okay.
Tell me to wait. So, I've always wondered with Rotas if like when you come back, if it's like the worst Monday ever. You know what I mean? Like when you work, like when you work a non-rota job, right? And you come in on Monday and the kids have been used to the way the parents do things. Now they have to transition back to the way you do things. I've always wondered if like coming back after your time off, if it's like the worst Monday ever, because they've been with those other
Yeah.
people for the
Yeah.
same amount of time.
Sometimes I think it depends a lot on like your relationship with your rota partner, if there is one. I think that I have seen rotas and I've even like temped for people who only wanted one rota nanny, so there was nobody to rotate against them. So like in that time off, it was like mom or family, or they would go on vacation and have like a vacation sitter and they were just gonna like fill in the pieces that way. I can imagine that that would be a lot more challenging, exponentially. Um, but like in my position, I have a co-nanny who is doing essentially the same things I'm doing. And of course, there's always like little things that I have to move around so that it works for me specifically in my brain when I'm on rotation. And sometimes it can take me a few days to like get into that rhythm, but it's usually not, I'm not usually not walking into like the typical Monday. I'm usually walking in and it's chill, it's breakfast time or lunch, and it's just an easy transition, usually. Yeah.
Nice. Nanny to nanny handshake.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And sometimes we don't overlap. It is not required for the family that I'm working for right now. So, um, I'd say maybe 50% of the time we do overlap. And I find that way easier when we're able to give notes in person and she can be like, oh my gosh, wait, this is why we have this new shampoo. It's not because it was sold out, it was because this and this and this happened. And I can be like, oh, okay. Instead of like having to guess or like having to text your co-nanny, which I hate because it's like they're off.
Yeah.
But yeah, we make it work.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And is there anything in the chat or okay, great. Okay. And then some of the realities, lower hourly rates, because we see rotas typically with a very high yearly rate, typically well into the six figures. When you break that down hourly, especially if you're working a 24-hour rotation, it the hourly does tend to like look a lot smaller than usual. Like I believe Adventure Nannies and some other big agencies have a minimum hourly of $35 per hour. A lot of rotational nannies, especially if you're working 24s and getting overtime, depending on the laws in your state, those wages are actually closer to like in the 20s as a base. So that's something to think about. Your on weeks are very, very intense. Like when you're on, you're really, really, really on, and you have to figure out how you're going to maintain your stamina for that time. Something that was very personal to me, getting a home loan was so tricky. All of my pay stubs are different. A lot of the banks that I was working with had absolutely no idea of the line of work I was in. And they were like, wait, you're a nanny. Are you sure you're going to be able to get us like your W-2s? And I'm like, I've been working with a W-2 since forever. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not sure why this is so difficult. I was not expecting that. But I guess that with the way that we get paid, it kind of makes sense. Um, Time being hard to manage when you're at work and also at home. I always say, like, I don't get anything done at work because I'm at work, and I don't get anything done when I'm home because I'm at home. And maybe other people have figured that out, but I am still very much working through that. Needing to optimize your time when you're on rotation, especially so you don't burn out. Like, I always think of it as I always have to be doing something, and the something can be like self-care. Like, I might be really, really needing to nap when the baby is at like a play date with his mom, or maybe at that time is when I really, really, really need to get into doing like the organization in the playroom because that is has been on my to-do list and I've been putting it off. So I always think of it that time at like that, like what do I really need to be doing right now? Do I need to be resting or do I need to be doing this other thing so that I can rest later? Um, a lot of paying to play. I hate that phrasing, but it's the best that I've been able to come up with. So usually, when you're on these Rota trials, well, always your transportation and your lodging and stuff is covered, but sometimes family offices expect for you to have like a certain wardrobe. So maybe you have to think about like spending $500 at Lululemon just so that you can look presentable at this trial with what the family wants you to wear, or maybe you have to pick up these certain things that you don't usually have, like maybe a more conservative swimsuit, or maybe you're going into a tropical climate that you don't usually have the wardrobe for that. And then your salary not affording your principal's lifestyles, like you're very approximate and very close to this lifestyle and this level of wealth, but realistically, even if you're making like well into the six figures, you're still usually not able to fly private unless you have some family backing you on your end. And the reality is that every single role is unique. So every single rota role looks different. And there's 3 days, 3 day on, 4 day off rota, 7 day on, 7 day off, 14 day. And like even within that, everything is so unique with the family offices in and of themselves. So, um, what you see from your friend's rota or this one rota you did might not be what's real for the next one. And I think that that's true for high net worth and ultra high net worth positions, not just rotational positions. I'm curious if anyone has any questions on the realities or like delving more into any of that.
Um, sorry. When you were talking about like the pay to play aspect of that, like for instance, if the family has like a particular aesthetic that they're going for, is that communicated to you beforehand, like by an agency, or are you just like, these people look like they want their nanny to do X, Y, Z?
No, so I always ask, and there's usually like some sort of parameters. For the position I'm in right now, they were very explicit on elevated athleisure. So like,
Right.
right, 100%. So immediately, like I'm going to Lululemon and worry, like, and that's just what I'm doing, and I'm figuring it out. Other families will be more vague, like they'll say something like, we expect black leggings on the bottom and maybe scrubs on the top, or like a presentable t-shirt at the top that's comfortable for you to work in. I personally have not worked in households that have been more formal than that, so I can't really speak to if anyone's doing a rota and like business casual all day. I have no idea. I cannot imagine that. But oh, okay. Sometimes there's a family polo with a crust on it. I don't know. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think that there are some families who will explicitly be like, here's your budget for you to do that. And other families, you kind of have to either ask or it's implied that you're just going to buy it with the salary that you're getting. I don't know. So that can vary a lot. Yeah. All right. And anything on the Zoom?
I think
Oh, it'll pop up maybe?
you can probably.
Hmm.
I'll go check.
Okay.
What do you do? Like
maybe
you chat, you can like type in a question. Oh, or like
yeah.
and we can see if it pops up.
Yeah, and maybe if anyone has a question that's listening in, if you think, feel free to unmute and happy to do that.
You know, related to the time is hard to manage. This is another question I've had as I've been getting into like exercising every day. When do you find time to exercise on rotation, or do you not exercise when you're on rotation?
That is not something that I plan into my day at all. That is not something that I plan into my day. The previous nannies for my family have planned it in. We do have access to the family's personal trainer that I have not taken advantage of, but they will literally go as, yeah, I know it's very cool. I love him. I don't know. But they've gone so far as to like literally put it in the calendar, like Eleni personal training session at home, and like block off the hour, or like I don't know, I guess it depends on your role, because when you're an NCS, usually you get like 4 hours blocked, is my understanding. For rota nannies, it's a lot trickier. I think that the assumption is that you're going through 24s, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of families really, really do prioritize their nannies being like healthy and able to keep up with the children. So I think that is something that a lot of families would be happy to accommodate. I think just
If you have the energy.
it's a matter of do you have the energy? What time like works for you to have the energy to do that? And also like what time works for them to have coverage or like what makes it easier? Like is it easier to do it during nap time and ask like
That's what I wondered. If it was
yeah.
like if most rota nannies were like, oh, at nap time, just the same as if they were a stay-at-home parent or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I do make time for other things that take me about as long a time that's not exercising. So like sometimes I'll text mom because she's my point person for baby. I don't know, like I assume that at some places maybe there's a house manager or chief of staff that would be the point person perhaps instead of mom, but I'll text her and be like, "Hey, I have the baby monitor on. I'm gonna wash my hair if that's okay." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, no, turn it off. I got him. Don't worry about it." And then I'll text her when like I'm ready or stuff like that. Or if he's down for the night, I don't really text her. I just have the iPad on full blast in the bathroom so I can hear him if needed. But yeah,
That makes sense. Makes sense.
yeah.
Did you raise your hand with that thing?
I did take it.
It did not.
And it didn't. Wait, what?
Or just like the little black bar showed up.
But now it's fine because I
And then
can
it went
monitor
over
it
the top.
because I was able to turn this out.
There we go.
Oh, great. Perfect. Okay,
Coming together.
let's see. And then some of the red flags that I have encountered so far. And like I said in my last one, like in my last chat, I don't really know if these are red flags so much as yellow flags. I think that everything in this industry depends. And I think that is very easy to like flag these things as things that are like completely unacceptable. And in certain scenarios, it might be, but also something like job creep. If you have been wanting to go into more of a house manager position and kind of move away from nannying, it would almost be more of a favor to get more of those tasks handed to you rather than not, so that you get experience and you can put that on your resume, obviously within reason, but always making sure that you're taking that into account. Um, Overcompensating for an incomplete team. It's very often sometimes that one rota get nanny gets hired before the other, or like being asked to fill in before they find whatever they deem to be a complete team. So I think wearing multiple of those hats, like it might sound perfectly manageable to be able to take that on for a few days or maybe a week while they're trialing someone, and that can get very long and a lot less manageable as time goes on. High turnover, obviously, if there's a revolving door of caregivers specifically on the nanny team, there are families I've encountered that have been perfectly capable to keep their entire staff for years, and for some reason, there's something going on with the nanny team that makes it very hard to have longevity in that position. So that's something that I would look into, but it's also perfectly normal if a family has kept their nanny team on for 10 years and they just so happen to both be retiring, or maybe one is moving on to something else. So taking that into consideration, like kind of making sure you get a complete picture of everything that's going on. Um, and then the expectation that you're working 100% of your rotation is absolutely not very realistic. Like you have to have time to sleep, you have to have time to eat, you have to have time to check in with your family. Um, but again, there are very, very busy weeks where sometimes a lot of things slip through the cracks. It happens. But that is a lot less often than not for me. No backup childcare as a rota. That's kind of tricky because I think the expectation is that there is 100% coverage, but people do still get sick even if you're taking all of the immune boosters, all of the vitamin C, drinking all the orange juice, it still happens. So just having the knowledge that there is somebody able to step in, whether it be a parent or a house manager, or chief of staff, or grandma or grandpa, or maybe they have a babysitter's list, um, that can get called in if you do either have an accident or get sick on the job. And if handovers feel really harsh, which is kind of like what we were talking about before, that can definitely be more of a red flag. These rotational transitions, usually there is a whole slew of information that's getting transferred. Like you have to learn the whole 2 weeks of your co-nanny when you're coming in. Um, but if it feels very, very choppy, either for the children or for the team or for yourself, I think that is 100% something to look at. So I'm curious if anyone has questions about the red flags or anything else I can elaborate on. Oh, yay.
I guess I'm curious, but not to
Yeah.
always be asking.
No,
questions.
I love it.
It's why we're here.
Yeah, it's why we're here.
I work for one high net family.
Yep.
Right? And I'm looking at the job creep, but I guess that's something I'm wondering about because from my experience, which there was a lot of red flags with that family, but something that seems consistent when I talk to other people who have worked for high net worth is that there's often this like, if you see something, do something attitude, like jump in and help when you can, even if it's not your duty. And I'm wondering how that balances with job creep, especially when you're there like 2 weeks,
Sure.
you know?
So I always say I will 100% do that with an asterisk. It's like within my means. So like if my hands are completely full, I'm holding a baby and maybe I have the diaper bag in another arm and I see house manager trying to like juggle 5 boxes in her hand. If I don't have an extra hand, I'm not like dropping everything to help her. I'm like, oh boy.
Did I skip
And
it?
what?
Did I skip it? I couldn't, there's people reading.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
It's fine, we'll just awkwardly go in the camera now.
We want these other people to join us.
Do. Okay,
Okay.
sorry. So like within your means, like I'm like if I see that chef spilled a smoothie and I'm sitting at the counter texting my husband, I'll like put my phone down for a second, grab a towel, help her clean it up.
Sure.
But if I'm like actively doing something and I don't have the capacity, then I just don't. And I kind of, not to say I don't feel bad about it, but it's like I'm doing what needs to be done so that now someone doesn't also have to come help me. And now we're like in this loop. Yeah. Yeah.
Snake eating its tail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm not like collaborative to a fault. And like half of it is also like staying out of people's way. Like the chef probably smells a smoothie from time to time and she knows the quickest way. So if I jump in without thinking about it, now I'm slowing her down, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I think that with that job creep, that's kind of like what you have to think about. Like, what am I capable of in this moment? And like, it really depends on the day as well. Like, if there's a really huge birthday party going on, maybe I'm not taking my usual hour in my room. Maybe that's a day that I'm going straight through, but that's not something that I would do every single day. If that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So it kind of has to be on your terms is the way I think about it, and just having the availability for it.
Totally.
Yeah. Did our friends join?
They did.
I don't see them on here. Caitlin, Alyssa, and Reagan, what a treat. Oh, it's Reagan. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Okay. Oh boy. Oh. I can no longer control the.
Oh. I've done this much crawling in a while.
Okay.
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 Oh,
Okay.
nope, that's the end. Wait.
Yeah,
Oh no,
yeah,
oh
yeah,
no,
yeah.
oh no. I'm speeding.
Oh,
Oh no.
okay.
Hold please. Okay, let's
My goodness.
restart. Uh-huh. Okay. Oh my God. Lindsay, don't laugh.
No, I'm laughing because I wouldn't be any better.
I know
Like,
you don't.
I'm
I
laughing.
Okay.
literally
We're
can't
getting there. We're
help-
getting there.
I can't help myself and I'm right here, so that makes sense. Okay,
Next one.
the next one, and then one after that. So I think it's the conclusion,
Oh,
and
okay,
then
okay.
we'll take more general questions like the two
Great.
you texted me. Okay, and I want to say as we wrap up, I want to leave you with something that I heard recently that really resonated with me specifically. It's that you have to choose your heart. Every single path in this career has its challenges. Voter life has its own set of negatives, like being away from home, the intensity of the travel, the intensity of the schedule, and those things can be really, really hard. But other things are hard too. I think that every single person in this career path has an aspect of their position that is incredibly challenging. Like working 45 hours a week and commuting 2 hours a day, I think is incredibly hard. And maybe not having access to full affordable health insurance can be hard, or feeling financially unstable can be hard. But for me, Rhoda is the hard that I'm choosing at this very moment in my life. It's the choice that best supports my family and our goals at this specific time. And the beautiful thing about this career is that nothing has to be permanent. If my family's needs change, I can choose a different hard when we get there. And so when you're evaluating opportunities in this field, it's not about finding something that's necessarily easy. It's more about deciding which version of hard aligns with the best life that you want to build. And that is it. Thank you guys. Yay! And Ashley texted me two questions that I think I'll jump into before I have any more questions. The first one is, what are some of the ways that someone who has plenty of traditional nanny experience could prove or show their worthiness of becoming a rota nanny? It seems to be a very hard position to get considered for as a first-time applicant. And I think that answer is different for every single nanny. And I think that answer can only be really answered by yourself. Like the way I would think about it is, what makes me so sure that I'm going to be good for this? And like, what proof do I have? And kind of reverse engineer it that way and really, really highlight that any way that you need to on your resume or in your interviews. Like maybe you've never had a formal rotational position, but there have been times when you've been on duty for 2 entire weeks when you're traveling with a family, or maybe you did something else in your career that was very, very challenging, time-wise for whatever reason, or maybe you were working on a big team, even if you weren't on a rota team, and you can show that aspect of it. I think that a lot of employers and agencies at the end of the day are just trying to make sure that the person that they put into their team is a good fit and knows how to work with the whole team and can get along with the whole team and will be able to have longevity in the position. So I think that really, really highlighting whatever makes you special and whatever makes you know that you can do it, really, really highlighting that. And also sometimes in my career, I found myself taking positions or maybe little tasks or little travel that I wasn't necessarily super excited about, but I knew that it aligned with what I wanted to do with my future goals and what I had wanted to have on my resume listed. So prioritizing those things and looking at them from a different lens, even if they weren't what I wanted to do necessarily in the short term, was really helpful. Yeah. And let's see. And someone else said they were a new rota nanny that was struggling with balance. I'm curious if we can open that conversation more if they're in the room so I can answer more thoroughly, or if not, I'll just, okay. No, no worries.
Is from Adam. Is uncle.
Yeah.
I don't think she is.
Okay. Um, I think for someone looking for balance, I think that I'm just curious kind of like what that looks like. Is it more of an internal thing, like you're having a hard time switching from being at work to being at home, in which case I'm not a good person to ask because I have not figured this out. Um, I don't know what to say on that. I think that it's something that I still um struggle with, even though I've been doing this for quite some time. I'm not sure if there are other people out there that can do it a lot better than I can, but on top of everything, I'm also neurodivergent, so it like takes a lot of time for me to figure things out in the first place. Like sometimes it takes me entire days before I even unpack myself after every rotation. But I think that if the balance is more like at work, I think that that needs to be treated differently and looking into what the expectations are of you throughout your day and throughout your rotation, and whether there's something that can either be automated so it's off your plate or just treated differently so that it's easier for you to handle. Like maybe in your head, all the laundry needs to be done by Monday, but maybe it doesn't have to be that way, and it just can be treated differently. So I think that it just kind of depends on what the balance there is.
I have a question
Sure.
and then, because it's related to what you just said.
Yeah.
You do Megan's question.
Okay.
So when you're talking about like treating responsibilities differently, like how do you approach your principals or the house manager or whatever about that? Because I do find, obviously, I'm not in a Rota position right now, but I do find that sometimes there are things at work that like, in my brain, it would make more sense to do X, Y, Z because it would streamline my day, which like my bosses aren't there to do my day for me,
Mhm.
but they're like, oh, like this isn't my example, but an example that I hear a lot is like, if I could just order groceries instead of having to go to the grocery store with 2 kids, that would make my life a lot easier. Like, do you find that those kinds of things are easy to ask your principals about, or?
Yeah, I think it depends on the family office. Some family offices have more constraints than others. Like some principals want you to go to the grocery store so that you're checking the expiration date and you're getting the freshest pack of chicken. And like they're looking at it that way instead of it being like an inconvenience or something that you have to do. There are others that are like, we order from Whole Foods anyways. We know that everything's going to be good. Pick priority delivery and it'll be all set. I think that I always come in with like an issue and also the solution, or maybe even two solutions, like, hey, or even like a temporary solution, like, hey, I'm super busy this week. Is it okay if I just order groceries for delivery on Friday? And it's usually like, yeah, sure. And if not, maybe chef can pick up your groceries when they're at the supermarket, or maybe house manager is going to UPS and you can ask her if she can pick up your Whole Foods order that you already have like ready for pickup and things like that. I think that there are more challenging questions that require either like more work or more assistance from the team, in which case they might not be willing to like switch resources from here to there. But I think it's about having a conversation in a way that is the most easily digestible for your family office, whether for them it's like an email that they can answer whenever, or if it's like, hey, can you hop on a quick call? Or hey, can we have a meeting about this? Like, I think it just depends on what's easier for them and what you think will be like the fastest way to like explain what you need to explain. I find that emails for me are kind of challenging. I have a hard time like getting what I have in my head into writing and also saying it with like the bubbliness that I speak with in person, because sometimes my emails sound like so harsh. Like, if you do not do this, and like it's challenging for me because I'm like reading it and I'm like, yep, this is what I want to say. And like you're reading it and you're like, oh my gosh. So for me, yeah, it sounds really rough. So for me, if I can like hey, quick question, then we're done and we can move on or not. But yeah, okay.
Okay, Reagan's question is, how do you deal with appointments and things you need to do outside of work when you're working 24/7? Is it hard to keep up with those things when?
I think it is hard to keep up with those things because, like, when you're thinking about it, you're like, oh, I have 14 whole days to manage my life, or 7 whole days to manage my life, and that's not what happens. Like, you get home and you're just pooped, even if you have like the best family in the world and the children you work for are a dream. Like, it's just a thing that happens when you're expected to be on for 24s or 12s. And that is 100% not something that I've mastered. And something that I've noticed a lot with me is that to get into the dentist, I kind of need to think about that months in advance because, like, if I think I need to go to the dentist doesn't have availability for like 4 weeks. And now, like, I'm going to be on rotation. So I need to schedule it for the rotation after that. So I have to like think about my whole life well in advance. And I'm almost working it like I would be my job, but this is my personal life with like my own personal things. So I think just really looking at your benefits package and seeing what's available to you and really taking advantage of that and scheduling that out like before you need to, like your dentist appointment and your yearly skin checkup with your dermatologist and your yearly gynecological checkups and your yearly PCP checkup, just kind of having that automated. Like sometimes I'll even book it a year in advance, and then if I have to change it, I'll change it, but at least I'll get the reminder. But yeah, I think that automation has really been helpful for me specifically because then it's just there. I get a notification pop up, easy peasy. And if it coincides with my rotation, I have to change it, then I just have to change it. But at least it's on the radar. And then if I'm on rotation and I really need something, I kind of communicate that with like urgency. Like if I really, really need to get to the doctor, I'm not like, hey, is it okay if I maybe? I'm like, hey, I really need this thing on this day. Is there any way we can make that work? And kind of really just making it prevalent that way. Yeah. Mhm.
Good question. Okay,
Yeah,
next
very
question.
good question.
You mentioned you were neurodivergent. Out of curiosity, do you think there are specific traits that pertain to your neurodivergence that make a good fit for Rota roles? On the opposite side of the coin, are there traits that make it more challenging for you?
For sure.
Lisa.
Oh, of course, Lissa. Oh my goodness, speaking to the professional herself. Okay. Um, yeah, I think that there are 100% things about my neurodivergent brain that give me what I call like superpowers, things that make me extremely good at the job. Um, like if I don't have a checklist, I will forget everything. So for me, when I'm packing, like I have everything written down with so much detail that you would think I have the opposite of what I actually have. And I think that that is very funny when that happens, but it does make me incredibly, incredibly good at my job. I'm able to do things like hyper focus, and I can really, really get things done in a short amount of time compared to my peers. And yeah, like things, like little things that might be like viewed as a challenge by a more neurotypical brain to me is like a gold mine of dopamine for me to like figure this thing out and really, really work it. And I think that in the same breath, there are 100% things that make it challenging for me and things that I'm still exploring because, like most women and being neurodivergent, a very, very late diagnosis, things that I thought were like just quirks about me that flowed into my work. That were actually symptoms of this bigger thing. And knowing has been half the battle, honestly. So now that I know I have this thing, I can now move about my day and my entire rotations and my entire year very, very differently, and have grace with myself than if I didn't know. And I think that that has been incredibly empowering for my position. And I think that at the end of the day, the good outweighs the bad. Yeah.
Do you have any that are on the other side of the coin? There are traits that make you more challenging for you?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I have, like I said before, a hard time flipping from one thing to another, and that can happen a lot when you're on rotation. But like, especially the switch between being home and being at work, sometimes my brain files it as like two completely different Elenies, and I have to like give Eleni this information and home Eleni this information, and sometimes they don't really work together, and that can be challenging. I think that there's just like a lot of like little things that I've been tinkering to like become more of a strength than a weakness in my career with little things like that. So I think, yeah, just something that I personally have been working on. I'm very lucky that there is like a very generous therapy package in my compensation package. So that's something that I specifically do for myself whenever I'm home. And yeah. Okay.
Currently, there are no more questions.
Okay.
Again, it's not that it's not all
No, I'm not there. Yeah.
But you've mentioned a few different times, like your compensation package,
Mhm.
like just now you mentioned like therapy being. I'd love to hear more about like kind of the broad scope of things.
Sure. So when I'm looking at what I call a compensation package, usually presented after trial when they are giving you your first offer, it usually includes like your healthcare benefits, obviously your yearly salary, any other little benefits that you might have in there, like are they flying you in first class as opposed to economy? Are you able to like have stipends for certain things? Do you have access to the family's personal trainer and their home cooked meals from their chef? So that's something that I personally take into consideration. I'm not just looking at that base pay because like $150,000 job can be the same at the end of the day for you monetarily as $100,000 job if you don't have healthcare included in that and you're paying for every single thing out of pocket, or you're going with like HMO plan that might not give you the same benefits that a PPO plan does, and or maybe this like thing is out of network with your specific doctor that you already have a good relationship with, and is that something that you're willing to part with? So for me, I take all of that into consideration. I think that for me, one of the big things has been like, what does it look like at the end of the day, like in my bank account? So like, what is my base salary? Um, what does my healthcare package look like? That is extremely important to me. My PCP visits right now are $20, and all of my therapy appointments are $0. So that to me is really important. I get the use of the family's vehicle while I'm at work, so that's not something that I have to think about. This this particular family office that I work for now is very generous, so there's not a lot of things that I need to worry about. In the past, it has been like when I'm traveling with a family and I have a daily amount that I have to stay under in terms of meals, it can get very challenging because $75 a day when I'm home at my local diner, I can get anything that I want on the menu. If we're staying at the Four Seasons in the Caribbean, that's like, yeah, that's like an appetizer and maybe an entree if you're lucky. And like, now what do I do for the rest of the day? And also having to like keep track of that sometimes for my brain gets very complicated. Like that's one more thing to have to add to my list. So for me specifically, that is something that I look at. And I'm trying to think what else. Like again, the amenities you have, like what it looks like when you're at work. Like, are you expected to share a room with their toddler, or is it okay if you have your own room and you have a monitor overnight? Like things that just make life easier. Because if you're in baby's room, that means that you also can't take a late night call with your mom or your dad, or like you can't, like you have to step out at midnight to say happy birthday to your best friend, like things like that, like just a little tiny inch of like peace of mind. That's kind of what I include in my entire
Yeah.
compensation package, even if two families are offering the same base.
I had
Yeah.
two more questions.
Yeah, let's do it. I am here.
So one, when you were talking, like some of those compensations, like are the sort that, yeah, like a lot of nanny, like hire, like nanny jobs that you're going through agencies would offer, right? And then some of them, like the chef meals and the personal training and the, right, are not, and I'm wondering, are those things that the family offers, or are those things that like, if you want, that you bring up?
I think that the family has to offer them.
Okay.
I think that, yeah, I don't know.
But I feel like with the live-in, the meals are like.
Well, that was
an
my
open-
second
open
question.
kitchen is generally,
Yeah, an open
yeah,
kitchen,
given-ish.
Uh-huh.
a given-ish, and then you have to make sure that that family is also supplying things in that open kitchen that you can actually eat. Because I've encountered that before, where it's like it's an open kitchen and the family only has like Kraft macaroni and cheese for the kids and like the kids' snack items, and maybe they have a second home that you go into when like you're off and that home isn't supplied at all. So that is something that I've run into. I think that it's a much harder conversation when you're asking for it as
Yeah.
opposed to it being brought to you already. I think that I
That's
don't know,
what I
like,
figured, but I
yeah.
was just curious.
100%. Like even the vibe around it, like if they agree to it, it might be a little bit of a learning curve to figure out what exactly it looks like within the position, even if they're okay with it. Or
Sure.
I was also talking to someone recently about how like their family office agreed to like XYZ, but then had no way to like follow through on it. Like literally did not have the capabilities to offer this thing for whatever reason. So I think that that also gets a little tricky and not something that I've like personally had to deal with, but yeah,
Makes sense.
something that I know other people have had to navigate.
The other question that came up when you were answering my original question, was you mentioned like a $75 like per diem, right? Like as an example. I guess I don't, I'm just gonna talk, but I don't have it like quite worded the way I want it to, right? Which is that like, I've done live-in before, and as you guys were saying, like live-in usually it's like food's included. And when you travel, at least in my experience, when you travel with a family who you're not doing Rota with, right? If you're traveling with them, food's just included. So I guess I'm curious about like how common the like, hey, here's a like this limit per day for food is.
I think that that's tricky. I think that it really, truly depends.
Because I've never run into that or
Yeah.
even like heard of that in a family. What?
I
I've
have,
never had like a limit.
yeah.
I mean, like,
Sure.
of course, like people like
Yeah.
think about it. I'm sure when they're or like nobody's going there and being like, I want the lobster and the filet mignon.
Right.
But like,
That's literally the example my family office gave. Like, you
Yeah.
can order anything you want as long as you're being like considerate and like you will actually
Yeah.
eat this and you're not ordering surf and turf every single night. Like, there's 100% nights where like at the Four Seasons, I will 1,000% order a steak and be like, this is what I need for today. But then maybe it was a day that I didn't really do anything crazy for breakfast or lunch, so it kind of evens out. But I have 100% worked for family offices that did have a cap, and I don't know, it was just also a strange situation because they had a cap, but then it was only for subtotals. So like it didn't include the tip and then like it didn't include the tax. So then it was like something else. Like I couldn't just look at the receipt and know how much I had left for the day. And it was also like very tricky to prove because you had to like keep the receipt and then tally individual subtotals and like show it that way. And it just didn't make sense.
This was more complicated than I
Yeah,
thought.
it
Yeah.
didn't make sense. And for me specifically, I'm like, I'm working with kids all day. Like, I need to keep my stamina. I need to like make sure I'm getting enough calories for my day today and also for my day tomorrow to be able to continue doing the work that I'm doing. So that that for me specifically has always been like a very tricky thing, meals when I'm working.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good question.
It's an important question.
Yeah, it's an important question because we need to eat 1,000%. And I ran into, like I said before, what?
Sorry, Alyssa wrote a message and it said, I once worked for a family that disclosed the amount to the staff at the resort, and that was really awkward.
What?
What? This is like, hold the people, tell the resort, they have more than $50 worth of food.
Go buy.
That's wild.
Go buy.
Yeah.
I wanna know if she was aware, like,
Did they say they
did
let
you know how much she could spend? Or did she just tell, or like, did they just tell the workers and then like?
I'm sure
she's
You're not gonna sell this body in the chat.
I'm curious.
I would think that
That's crazy.
she would know, I think, but
No.
the nuns are spreading.
Like,
word to-
doesn't Nicholas?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
In like a weird,
like, you, like, it was a
performative
specific,
manner.
it was a specific worker who was there daily.
Mm.
But that just feels yucky, like, if you're gonna,
So being kind of gossip.
like, why don't you just trust me that I'm not
Yeah.
gonna order $500 worth of room service, like,
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah.
See, a lot of stuff around food, it was a good question.
Yeah.
Sven.
There's a lot of stuff around food. Oh my
a
gosh.
question I seem to see like a lot, and I guess I've also thought about it, is like, how do you deal with holidays, with your co-nanny, or, cause like if you are working for a family that is like, no, we need coverage over Christmas, over Thanksgiving, you know, whatever, how do you handle
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, and I think it's more often than not that a family does expect coverage over Thanksgiving and Christmas and every other thing.
Mhm.
Like maybe it's time that they want to spend extra time with their family and their children, but then they need help like in the back end of things, like making sure that all the Christmas gifts get like all the boxes thrown away and all the tissues thrown away so they're not living in that for like a week, or still making sure that their supplies are stocked and stuff like that, or maybe they're traveling the next week so they need to make sure all the kids stuff is packed. So um I mean, it's I hate calendar stuff. I really, really hate calendar stuff. If you guys have not caught on by now, I'm not a fan of like I'm not very good at managing that stuff, but I will say I do try to flip it so that we either I mean so sometimes I try to flip it where we get like Thanksgiving, New Year's off one year, and then we work Christmas the next year and flip that way. But I've found that it's easier almost to also take into account what's important to you and your co-nanny. Like for my family, Thanksgiving is really, really huge. We love a New Year's, but Christmas kind of flips. And some people aren't in town for Christmas anyway, so then we'll do gifts in January or early in December anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And if your co-nanny has two kids of her own that are not going to have their mom for Christmas, I think that that is very different. So I think that just making it work, I think that a lot of family offices prioritize coverage over anything else within parameters. Like for the family office I'm in now, they ask that rotations be no less than 10 days, but also no more than 19. And if we can get back to like switching on a Tuesday eventually and getting back to our 14s, then that's great. If not, we keep pushing it off. But definitely coverage is the priority. And if it comes down to it that we absolutely both need the same exact day off, they will work with us. There are other family offices that will expect you and your co-nanny to work that out amongst yourself. There are also other nannies I know that have a list of trusted caregivers that they can call on those days where there's no coverage so that there's a fill-in and neither Rota nanny has to work that specific day, and that works. But I think, yeah, it just depends. Yeah.
something, or wait, if there's other questions.
Oh, no, they're not.
Okay.
I assume that this like depends on each family,
Mhm.
but like when there's scheduling conflicts, is that something you all work out and then you let your principals know? Or is it like talk to the head nanny, talk to the house manager, and like work it out that way? Like,
I think it depends. I think that the family office I work for right now would be very, very confused as to why me and my co-nanny wouldn't be able to figure it out amongst ourselves and then just bring those dates to them for them to approve.
sure.
It's never happened that they didn't approve something that we were like, hey, this is within all your parameters, this is full coverage, here you go. There are other family offices I've worked for where collaboration with your co-nanny was kind of like a second step, and your first step was the family office. Like you tell the house manager, hey, just so you know, I'm going to nanny camp because I miss Reagan and all my friends so much. And I need these dates. And they're like, okay. And they'll figure it out amongst the nanny team and then come back to you and be like, hey, we were able to figure that out, or no, we weren't, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it does depend.
Okay, this is a very neurodivergent question.
Yeah.
Neurodivergence, that's a very neurodivergent question. How do you know which one the family prefers?
I think it'll kind of be clear in the beginning,
Okay.
especially with like your initial
Oh,
scheduling, like where does that come in? How much communication have you had with your co-nanny on what has been presented to you? And like as you move forward, like what's the conversation about that? So it kind of, I think it's always been clear on
Okay.
my end where I'm supposed to go. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, there are a lot of things with the family offices that you kind of just figure out as you go. And if not, there's usually like somebody on the team that you can like ask those specific
Okay.
questions to.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Cool.
Okay.
Reagan says they all have their own way of working.
All of
They
them.
really do all have their own way of working. I mean, Reagan probably knows better than than any of us do about every single individual family office and how they work and how they navigate things. Yeah.
There are no more
Oh
questions.
my goodness. Okay.
That was great.
That was
Yes.
great.
Also,
Thank you guys.
I didn't even do like an intro or anything.
Oh,
Just gonna crawl on the
okay.
floor
And then just
come over here, make it really awkward. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Yeah, did that work? Nope. Okay, this is why I didn't do an intro because I'm not the most tech savvy, but welcome slash thank you for coming to our Let's Talk session with Eleni. Wait, am I like not on here? Is that why you're
where'd everyone go? Where is everybody?
It's fine. Are we just not on Zoom anymore? I have no idea.
The Zoom.
Oh my God, did I?
No, I don't think so.
Don't say that, Lindsay. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I'm cutting this part off of the recording.
No, they're not.
Okay, no, I'm there. I'm there. Okay.
You're still here. You're
Why is
still
everything
here.
still so small? It's so weird. Okay, I'm taking this part off. Okay. There we go. I'm just like kneeling on the floor. Anyway, welcome slash thank you for coming to our Let's Talk session. Thank you for putting up with all of my technical difficulties. We started doing these Let's Talk sessions in November of last year, and they've been so great. It's just a great way to spend time with our local community, who you can see in the background. And also people who are on Zoom. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Eleni, for sharing all of your expertise about Rota nannying. If you have any other questions, I'm just absolutely volunteering her. If you have any other questions about being a Rota nanny, send them to me and I'll forward them to Eleni and we'll get an answer for you. But do you have anything else to say?
No, I just want to make sure everyone sees my duck.
Oh, also she dressed so cute. I
Yes.
still have like spit up on me and she looks adorable. So thank you. Do you want to like stand up and do a fit check?
And this is the whole fit.
Okay, that's
There's like no other.
the black pants are also very cute. But thank you so much. Thank you, Suzanne. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. And we will hopefully see you in the next one. Keep an eye out. Join our newsletter so you'll see when the next one's coming and what the next topic is going to be. And we'll see you soon. Good night.
And really quick, I just want to thank Ashley for inviting me out here. I actually started my nanny journey here in Nashville. So there was a very specific component of that for me, which made me very, very excited to be here. And I wasn't going to say no.
Yes.
But yes.
Well, I'm so glad she came. All right, everyone have a good night. Thank you so much. Where's the end button?
Now-
Oh, nope.